Affinity Group, Student Branch, Dhaka University. Welcome to our today's event, Women in Technology and Beyond, Opportunities for Students in Ireland and UK, organized by Women in Engineering, Affinity Group, Student Branch, Joshua University of Science and Technology, Daffodil University, International University, and Dhaka University. Meet our honorable guest speaker, Ruth G. Lennon, lecturer, Department of Computing, Atlantic Technological University. Thanks to her for giving us her valuable time. We are eagerly waiting to hear something new from her and also something new learn from her. Today, we have also the advisor of IEEE Joshua University of Science and Technology and advisor of IEEE Daffodil International University are also with us today. Before starting this event, we want to hear something from our honorable advisor, ma'am. From both of them, we hear something. So, firstly, I am requesting Dr. Toma Faujdar, ma'am, please say something. I am requesting you to say something, then we will start our event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anmona. At first, I would like to thank our honorable speaker, Ruth Lennon. Cordial welcome from IEEE Women in Engineering Affinity Group of Dhaka University, Daffodil International University, and Joshua University of Science and Technology section. We are eagerly waiting to hear from you. I hope that our students from different branches will gather so much knowledge and so much idea from you from the today's session. All the volunteers of these three Women in Engineering sections, I would like to thank all of you for organizing these events smoothly and all the participants. So without further delay, I want to conclude here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we will hear from our another advisor, Dr. Farjana Khanum, Joshua University of Science and Technology. Ma'am, please say something about our event.
Can you hear me, Anmona and others? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Okay. It's really honor for us to have Dr. Ruth Lennon, and I am truly, actually, we really grateful to her for her support and time for this meaningful and informative webinar. And I like to show my gratitude on behalf of Joshua University Science and Technology Student Branch, Women in Engineering, Affinity Group, to show the note of appreciation and dedication and assistance to Dr. Ruth Miller, and also thank to all the volunteers and connected with Women and Engineering Affinity Group of the universities, Dhaka Universities, Dhaka International University, and as well as Joshua University. And without delay, I'd like to say my gratitude to all, and let's have a start the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now we are going to start our today's session. Ruth Lennon ma'am, if there is no problem, please start your session with us. Ma'am, please start the session.
I'm trying to share my screen. So let me try that again. Perhaps it's not coming right. There we go. We should be getting that. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you all for the invitation to speak to you today. I think it's really important that we get an opportunity to work across different communities, because we all learn from each other. I strongly believe I will learn as much from you as you could ever learn from me. I think that's important to build up our networks, build up our links. So I am really happy to be here today. And I certainly hope that your two advisors will reach out to me, and maybe we can work on establishing tighter links with my university in Ireland when they get time. I know they're very busy people. But I was introduced as Ruth G. Lennon. I add the G simply because there's a couple of Ruth Lennons out there who publish in different areas. So I have to identify myself as slightly different. Thank you for the kind welcome and the kind introduction. But I was asked to speak about the opportunities and challenges for people, particularly from Bangladesh, when they come to Ireland and to the UK. And I started to look this up, and I found out that there's lots of numbers out there to indicate how many students there are out there. So, for example, in 2023, I found an article which described that there are 1,800 students in Ireland from Bangladesh, which I was really pleased to see. I thought it was a very good number. And there was another article which said there were 17,000 Bangladeshis in Ireland, which means that there's a great number of families over here. There's a great amount of support for people from Bangladesh. That's even better to hear. But lastly, I found another number which showed that the number of international students overall in Ireland is 35,000. And I think that's important because it helps you understand that we are very strongly supportive of international visitors and international guests. We are a very open and welcoming community, which will help anybody who chooses to come over to our little island of Ireland. So Ireland and England are right beside each other, but we're very different in our cultures. We're very different in our ways. We're very different in how we do things in many ways. And yet there is the opportunity to travel freely from one country to the other when you're Irish. There are visas restrictions. I will talk about those in a minute as you travel from one country to another coming from Bangladesh. But they're not as hard as you might think. So definitely worth looking into. So if I take the opportunities first, just to briefly talk about the opportunities that you have, I'd be remiss if I didn't start to talk about our own IEEE UK and Ireland Women in Engineering section or affinity group. And the reason I'm bringing this up first is because we have many activities that I think will help you as you come over here. We have a mentoring program which has just started this year. We had some in the past, but this is a new one that's starting this year. We present 4 awards each year for excellence in engineering, for volunteering. So we have 4 awards that you have the opportunity to apply for, which helps highlight the skills that you have. And just to point out that the people organizing this session, and it always takes many hands to make a session like this work, they would be eligible to apply for the award if they were studying over in Ireland. And I'm sure you have something similar in Bangladesh and other countries. Each have their own award systems, but we have ours as well. We have senior membership support because I think that one of the things that the IEEE offers is recognition for your skills after a period of time of study. And we often don't realize how easy it is to apply for it. We don't recognize our own skills. Applying for senior membership in the IEEE does not have a huge requirement, and the time that you spend studying for your degree, your master's or your PhD, counts towards that time of expertise. So your 10 years builds up very quickly. However, having never seen an application before, it can be a little bit daunting to apply for senior membership. I myself hadn't applied for senior membership until only a few years back. So now I run a program to try and encourage more people to apply, especially women, because I think we often don't recognize the work that we do. We always say, well, it was a team effort and somebody else did it. And to some extent it was, but there always has to be a leader. There always has to be someone who encourages that activity to take place, encourages the people involved. And if that's you, then that's another activity that you can describe. So we have that as yet another activity within our affinity group. The Women in Engineering run an international leadership summit, and the leadership summit this year for the UK and I happens in multiple locations because we are such a vast region, and that means that it is easier to attend these events. And then finally, we offer speaker opportunities, and as you've noticed, there are distinguished speaker opportunities, there are virtual speakers opportunities, which you have availed of today. But also within our own affinity group, we realize that we have many valuable members who have expertise that they would like to share with their local communities, and maybe are not asked and don't know how to get involved in supplying their knowledge to local conferences, to local student groups, or to anybody who just wants to know about that topic area. So we've now started a speaker series where we encourage our members to provide their name, their image, and their key topic areas, plus links to their email or their LinkedIn, so that then conference chair, for example, might say, hey, do you know anybody who has a knowledge of DevOps, which is my example area? So they'll look at that speaker series page and they'll find out, yep, there's Ruth Lennon. She's involved in DevOps and heavily involved in it. And they'll be able to pick that person out. It's hard to get these opportunities without being highlighted and identified. So this speaker series will allow us to provide more opportunities locally for our experts that are there. So that's within the IEEE UK and I. Again, I'm sure you have similar activities within your own region, but if you are going to come over to study or to work in the IEEE UK and or Ireland, then I highly recommend that you do get involved, that you link up with us and ask the questions that you need to ask. But again, this is about opportunities. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the opportunities, or where do we even begin to find about these opportunities? The first one is that when you're looking for students, let's start with students. When you're looking for scholarships, there are many different places that offer scholarships. And we tend to find that students will apply for one scholarship, or they will apply through one avenue. And I think you limit yourself quite a bit by doing that. You should apply to multiple countries, or even within any given country, you should apply for multiple scholarships, because there are different types of scholarships. Some will give you the cost of the fees for your studies. Some will include a stipend, a help, if you like, towards your accommodation. And some will help you with other resources like laptops or whatever else it might be. So researching what different types of grants and scholarships are available is very important. You need to determine, can you apply for these two and accept these two at the same time? Or you apply for these two and you decide, whichever I get, I'll take the best one. But you have to apply. And when you apply for these things, you might get rejected for 1, 2. You might get rejected for 20 or 30 before you get accepted for one. But you have to keep applying. Because like publishing a paper in a journal, you get some feedback saying where you're going wrong, or you'll learn how maybe you did something a little bit differently than they had expected. Maybe you missed something on the application. So by applying to multiple over and over again, you have a much better chance of getting your application accepted. Now, there are different types of scholarships and grants. And I'm just going to mention a couple here. The first one is university specific. And I've taken one example from my own country because I know a little bit more about the ones in my country. So this one is the UCD scholarship for students from Bangladesh. This is very specific to students from Bangladesh. This is not for all international students. And that's quite nice because you know that you are primarily eligible for these awards. You know that they're aware of the universities that are in your country and what types of qualifications you're coming out with. So they help match that up a bit more quickly. It means the process overall tends to be a bit smoother. However, the money that's involved with some of these is very specifically tied to fees and not necessarily the stipend. So I've given the example here of one from University College Dublin, which is one of the most prestigious universities in Ireland, maybe the second most prestigious. Another example would be Trinity College Dublin, the oldest university in Ireland. They also have stipends and scholarships specifically for students from Bangladesh. However, it's not just university-specific stipends that are available. If you have a look, you might find that there are national efforts to provide scholarships. So, for example, taking the other side of the house, I'm going to take an example from the United Kingdom. There is the British Council scholarships, which also offer scholarships to students from Bangladesh. Now, again, they're a different type of scholarship. So you should not exclude yourself from applying to just one. You should apply to the individual university, like London's London College, St. Mary's College in London, sorry, as well as applying to the British Council scholarships. I will send on these slides afterwards so that you can click on all of these links. But you apply to multiple sources to try and get access to these scholarships. Always highlight when you're applying for these scholarships what makes you unique. What have you got that the other applicants haven't got? For example, you organize webinars with other chapters. You're involved in your IEEE UK and, or sorry, not UK and I, you're involved in the IEEE Women in Engineering affinity group in your area or your university. But there may be other things you also do. You may volunteer in other aspects, or you may be interested in computing, so you built your own home PC. Maybe you built a website for your local cricket club, whatever it might be. Something that shows you as a little bit more unique, as having more interest than the next person, that we're giving you a scholarship and that you will make the greatest use of that scholarship. Those kind of unique aspects are what are expected when you fill in the application form. It's not just the grades. The grades certainly help, but what else do you have that puts you above the others? Now, I've given the British Council scholarships as one example. There is another example. It's not state-run, but there's an example from Education Ireland. So that'll give you an example of some of those scholarships that are out there from Ireland. Now, again, the scholarships from these examples, the UCD scholarships for students from Bangladesh are targeted very specifically at students from Bangladesh. But there are other scholarships which are targeted at international students and don't specify which country. Or scholarships which are targeted at people from a specific background or with specific grades. So it may be that they're looking for somebody with the highest grades in an exam, or people who have come from a disadvantaged background. people who are in a minority. Those types of scholarships are something you should consider applying to as well. Within the IEEE, there are travel grants and scholarships that you can apply for too, which allow you to attend conferences or attend events. They don't tend to be tied specifically to university scholarships, but they do allow you to have a few experiences that you might not have otherwise had. Google offers similar scholarships. So do Microsoft. And you know L'Oreal, because we're worth it, they offer scholarships too to women in STEM. Scholarships can come from surprising places. The more surprising the place that the scholarship comes from, and I'm thinking specifically of the hair product one, not enough people apply for it because they're not necessarily aware for it. So that means you have a much greater chance of getting those types of scholarships. Often these scholarships also ask for a letter of reference, 2 letters of reference, in fact. If that's the case, wouldn't it be great if you had a letter of reference from your own university and a letter of reference from someone in the university you are applying to attend, because you've made a link with that university or you've reached out to the people in that university, particularly the lecturers? That's easily arranged if you make the connection by contacting the lecturers in the first place, explaining what you hope to achieve, why you're choosing that particular course. Be clear on your objectives. Don't write a letter without understanding who it is you're talking to. I often get emails from people looking for support for an application, and it'll say, "Dear sir, I've read your last paper on nursing, and I'm not a sir, and I don't do nursing," which means they haven't done the research as to who I am. They're just doing a mail shot more broadly. So if you target your email and look up the person and say, okay, I want to do something in computing, and I think I like the idea of, I'll again take my example, DevOps, because it's a bit of software and it's a bit of networking. Okay, so I like that idea. So then you go and email Ruth Lennon, this lecturer from the university, and say, I'd like to study under you. I like software because I like networking because this is why I think I would be good in a DevOps course. Can you help me apply for this scholarship to come and study in your university? Now you've got my attention. So big, broad mail shots don't work. They're wasting your time and the lecturer's time. We tend to ignore them. But if you do a targeted message, then you're much more likely to get accepted. Now, when it comes to traveling to any of these countries, of course, you're going to need visas. And I'm not really going to speak too much about visas because the rules on visas can change. But there are help on how to apply for jobs. There are helps on what types of visa you need. From the embassies, of course, there are organizations. Please be careful when you apply to agencies because they tend to have a very tight remit, and they'll work with 1 or 2 organizations or 1 or 2 universities, and they don't necessarily give you the full range so that you can see what's out there. But there are websites. Now, to come to Ireland, for example, you do need a visa if you have a Bangladeshi passport, because we're in the EU. It can cost, from my research, and I'm open to correction, between 3,300 to 12,500 for a visa. Depends on the type of visa you get, obviously. But it's very fast to get. I believe it only takes about 10 days to get that visa. Whereas a visa to England can cost about 81,000 approximately for a 2-year visa. Again, it varies from visa to visa. But there are opportunities in other places, and I've just taken these 2 out singly to say that your opportunities can be to contribute to an area that you might not have allowed yourself to consider. So I'm going to take standards as an example of an area that the IEEE work with specifically. You can work on networking standards or software standards. Typically not suitable for a student. It's more for people coming to work. but it does give you an opportunity to change something. If you don't like how something works, instead of complaining about it, go and contribute to it. And I've contributed to Standard for many years now, and I can tell you that they are a lovely bunch of people to work with. You get to see the process, you get to understand why the decisions are made in this way, and you get to contribute to those standards. And there are levels of onboarding, they train you up, but you can also watch as such for a while so that you get time to make a decision about how much can you contribute and why. So there are opportunities in other areas that the IEEE can help you with. But then if you want to keep it a bit simpler, let's stay with the technology for a little bit. Within the technology, there are training courses within the IEEE which are well recognized internationally, which means that if you do some of these training courses in advance of coming over, they are accepted as part of your experience and your skills. I always highly recommend to my students, apologies, I highly recommend to my students to do the short courses on AWS courses, Microsoft courses, Terraform courses, or whatever it may be. Those commercial courses that are well recognized. They're short. They typically are inexpensive at the lowest level. There's plenty of them that are free at the lowest level. And if you do some of those, it will help you get recognized under a process which we called recognition of prior learning, which means you can accept that I have done the learning outcomes. I have met those learning outcomes for a particular module so that I don't have to do that module during my time of study. So you apply through a process. So if you have time to do any of those, I would start those early. Helps you with industry and it helps you with your education. So the opportunities just on both sides, it's not just in your typical education, but there are opportunities to both contribute and to learn from different aspects within the IEEE and elsewhere. Okay, so there are challenges, of course, and I do want to speak to the challenges, but I'm going to take three of the main challenges, and the first one being visas. If you're looking for a work visa, unskilled work is hard to get. They don't want people generally coming over for unskilled work because there are lots of people looking for jobs. However, this is the same in most countries. However, to get a skilled worker visa, that requires the sponsorship of a company. Now, again, I'm going to take my town as an example. There are three large companies, Sept, Primerica, and Optum, and they all sponsor people to come over to work if they are skilled. So watch out for the jobs on the jobs board. Look at Indeed and other places to find out what roles are available and apply for them. Now, when for applying for roles in computing, certainly over here, I would always say apply for roles that you're not qualified for, because there are plenty of jobs that are waiting to be filled. And if they can't find the right person, they'll take from the list of people who have applied. If you haven't applied, you haven't a chance. But if you have applied, and you do a good interview, you just never know what's going to happen. I have seen students go into job interviews and talk themselves into a role that didn't even exist beforehand. So always apply, even if you're not quite ready for it. So again, some of the challenges. Yes, Ireland and the UK have strict criteria for work permits for low-skill jobs, and for work or skilled jobs, it does require sponsorship. But for student visas, it's much easier to get in. And once you have a student qualification, it makes it even easier still. And we've got the stay back visa, which I'll talk about in a minute. There is the difficulty that in some cases, non-EU degrees may not be recognized. And that's simply a case of not having an articulation between your university and the university you're applying for, which is why I said at the beginning, I wouldn't mind if your deans would reach out to us in Letterkenny and I'll help them get that process started for our university here so they can have a pathway from one to the other. But those recognition of your degrees are easily achieved by doing a short course as you transfer over. And then you may have heard about the housing crisis that is happening in the UK and the housing crisis which is happening in the Ireland. But I think you need to dig a bit deeper when it comes to these things. So, for example, in Dublin, which is our capital city in Ireland, there is absolutely a housing crisis. It's hard and expensive to get a good house. However, where I live is up in the top northwest of Ireland, and it's not quite as hard. And we are much, much cheaper than staying in Dublin. And the same is true when you look at England, Scotland, or Wales. The big cities are expensive and it's hard to get accommodation. So if you are a student and you're looking to do a master's, a PhD, or do some postdoc work in the universities in London, be prepared for the cost of accommodation and be prepared for a difficult search. However, if you look for a university that is in Midlands, England, or say the west of Ireland, or wherever it might be outside of those big cities, you're going to find it much, much easier. In fact, the city or the town that I live in, and I actually live outside of the town, but the town I live in is the cheapest place in the country to get accommodation. Do your research on that. Ring the universities. Most importantly, ring the student union for the university, because they'll give you advice on the cost and how easy or not it is to get accommodation at any time. Again, knowing who to ask will get you over a lot of these questions. I'm going to look at the scope for students in Ireland and the UK as well. If I talk for too long, do please tell me to hurry it up. I think I'm okay yet. The scope for students. So we know that students can come over on a study visa, but it's also worth noting that you can work for 20 hours a week on that study visa. And depending on the type of course you're on, it could be shorter periods of study in class, in which case, during that summer period or during the holiday periods, you can work 40 hours a week as well to maybe replenish your funds, to gain some money again. So this is on a study visa in Ireland, or it's a tier 4 visa in the United Kingdom. So there are some restrictions on it. Yes, 20 hours a week during the normal week and 40 hours during the study time or the summertime. Some of the other restrictions are that you can't actually start your own business yet until you change your visa. So what can you do? How can you get help? In Ireland, after you finish an accredited course, you can avail of that graduate program, which allows you to stay back in Ireland or stay back in the UK for up to 2 years while you finish off your studies and try to find work. And if you find permanent work, then you can apply for the alternate visa. That's a great advantage that many countries don't have. Giving you the time to find that job after you've completed your course, and 2 years is a long time. You should be able to easily find work and something more permanent. That includes the time to find the job and do your 3 months or so where they evaluate you and determine whether or not they're going to make you permanent. So 2 years allocation for that period of time to find the work should be plenty. It's a nice little bonus that we offer. We also have, as I've already mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, an established diaspora in Ireland, which means that there are communities of people who have already come here, who've been here, done that, as they say. So you may find somebody from your town or from your area that you can reach out to and ask, well, what is it like? What are the people like? What is the university like? Is it mostly practical work? Is it mostly theory work? And how hard is it to get a job in whatever specific area that you want to get a job in? So do talk to them, do reach out to the communities. It's also nice to know that in both the UK and Ireland, we have a number of universities that are listed in the top 100 universities around the world. I've already mentioned, for example, Trinity College Dublin and the University College Dublin. They're two of the biggest. And also the St. Mary's College in London is also in that list. So just to give you 3 example universities that are over here that are very, very well known, very well respected, and have a great range of courses. I will mention the Atlantic Technological University where I teach. And I'm mentioning this one in particular because we are very hands-on. We teach a very hands-on course. We want you to be able to go out with a job at the end. It's not just theory that we're looking at. It's more applied. And we work particularly with the industries around us to make sure that the skills we're teaching will help you get straight into a job. And then finally, when you complete one of these courses, let's say, for the sake of argument, you went and studied in England and you did your course and you're happy enough with that, but you wanted to explore a bit more. Your qualification from England will help you find a job in Ireland. Likewise, your qualification in Ireland can help you find a job in Scotland, Wales, England, France, Germany, or elsewhere. They're well recognized. So it gives you a pathway for onward study. So coming closer towards the end, we're going to talk about the role of the IEEE Women in Engineering. Now, I've talked about mentoring opportunities, and there are a number of mentoring programs within the WIE, from the WIE wider to the local affinity groups, right down to the individual chapters in the region. So there are lots of opportunities to link with experts in the field. And the nice thing with the mentoring sessions are they help you connect to people who are aware of jobs or who can help you hone your CV to the type of requirements that might be expected in a particular country or in a particular town. So I know, for example, in the town that I come from, there's a certain way that the local companies expect the CV to look. There are certain things that they expect to appear, which may be slightly different to how it might look in our capital city of Dublin. So they'll help you with that. It also gives you collaboration opportunities. So if you're a researcher and you want to reach out to people with other expertise, whether it's the same area or whether it's a parallel area, this will give you the opportunity to meet people. And sometimes that can be hard. So meeting people in person at events or connecting through calls like this will give you that opportunity. The exposure of what you do, of your skill set, of your knowledge, of your expertise, again, is another thing. How do you make people know about your expertise? So our mentoring programs can certainly help with that, but I think our speaker series is probably the best way to move forward. You get highlighted on our website, and then you get invited to do speakers. For those who are out in industries for some time, they can join the virtual speaker program, which is within the wider IEEE. So there are multiple speaker programs that you can apply to highlight your expertise. Applying for senior membership also lists you on the IEEE website. And again, you can run through the various ranks within it. Industry networking opportunities, there are many for that, where there are events specifically for industry, but working on standards is a good example of how you can work with other people in industry, not so much the students, but working from industry professional to industry professional. Workshops and tutorials helps you upskill. There are courses available within the IEEE, but within our own affinity group, and I'm sure your own affinity groups, they run short tutorials at various stages, so that if there's something new that you want to learn about, like agentic AI, you can find out what it means and what impact it could have on your career. Their funding, grants and scholarships promotions. If you have a local newsletter which puts that out, that's great. We tend to put them out on our social media. So as soon as we find out that there is a grant available to attend this conference, or a scholarship has been offered by a university, if it meets our criteria to promote diversity, we will publish that. We will put it out on our social media sites. So sign up to the social media sites that are relevant to you and to where you want to go. I'll mention just a couple of last things on this, which is the VOLT or volunteer leadership training programs that are offered by the IEEE. Very limited, hard to get into, but well worth applying for. It gives you a nice collaboration. It allows the affinity groups to meet up and work together, and you're working on a project which will help the affinity groups across the regions that you're working on. So that's quite nice. And just a quick highlight in the background there to show about the IEEE UK and I Awards for Excellence in Engineering, Change Catalyst for Engineering, UK and I, and then it's a named award after a previous expert. And then finally, the Inspirational Volunteer, which I think is nice to have. So that covers quite a lot of things, but I'd like to wrap up with the top tips. Make sure to reach out to people you know. Don't be afraid to reach out to people on LinkedIn that are from your region or who've gone to your university and they work for a company you'd like to work for. For example, with Google, if a person from within Google recommends you for a role and they end up hiring you, that person gets a little bonus. So they're going to want to do it too. So reach out to people, but reach out in a targeted way. Don't just send out a mass email. Contact the universities directly for advice to find out about the course itself, the employment opportunities, but also the accommodation, what kind of social and networking opportunities there are, because building your community and having support network will give you a greater chance of success. And of course, reach out to our affinity group in the IEEE UK and Ireland if you do choose to come over here, because regardless of whether you're a student or a potential employee in an organization, we have ways to help you improve your visibility and provide additional supports for you. And that's about it. Thank you for listening to me today. And if you want to reach out to me specifically, there's my LinkedIn and you're most welcome. Just say where you've met me and reach out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Before stepping in another our next part, I want to announce 3 things. First of all, we have a quiz session, so please participate that session and grab opportunity to win a certificate or something. And secondly, we will send your certificates through your email. And thirdly, we have an feedback form in the chat box. Please fill that form. And here we come to another part. Ma'am, Ruth ma'am, actually from our participant registrations, we have got many questions. Actually, it was a lot of questions, but I think you have already answered almost all of them throughout your amazing speech. But still, we want to pick 3 questions from the questions, and please, if you allow us to read them and please answer them. Okay. The first question: what are the criteria for students to get full scholarship in the UK?
It depends on which type of scholarship they're applying for. So that's very specific. Usually it's what type of previous course they've applied to. So I'm going to make an assumption that the student is looking to apply for a master's or a PhD. So they must have a 2-1 in their master's. They must have their student visa. And usually there is a criteria about having the appropriate finances to cover them while they're here, which is part of their scholarship. They're going to get part of that, but they're going to make sure that the person is actually going to attend. That we're not going to say, hey, you can have this scholarship and then you don't take it and you take something else. So they really want to make sure that people are genuine in their application. But every university has a different type of scholarship, so you need to check them out individually.
Okay, ma'am. The second question is how my IEEE volunteering experience would impact to get full or partial funded scholarships from Irish universities.
Can you say that question again? I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear it.
How my IEEE volunteering experience would impact to get full or partial funded scholarships from Irish universities.
Oh, okay. It's great because it shows that you have a interest in computing outside of the work inside your specific course. So I would put down first that you are volunteering in a leadership manner. Now, the leadership manner might be running an event like this, or it might be you're the chair, the vice chair, or whatever of your affinity group, that it shows you've got leadership skills. The second thing is you show the period of time because you want to show that you've got longevity. When you commit to something, you're committing to it over that year or over 2 years period. Again, that shows that you are genuine. If you were to take a scholarship, you would commit to completing the entire course. You're not going to hop from one thing to another. Then lastly, we want to show the kind of character that you are, the heart that you've got behind this. Are you going to be a good representative for your community? Because that's part of how you get these scholarships. It's how you then promote the scholarships for in the future. So being a member of the local affinity group will definitely help you with that. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Our third question is, what key skills should students from developing countries focus on to stand out for tech and research opportunities in Ireland and the UK?
Yeah, so again, there are a lot of free courses like the GitHub backpack, which I can dig out for you in a minute, a link to. If you can show that despite a limitation on potential access to resources, you've managed to train yourself up on these short certificates, that shows you have an interest. I think that courses in AWS, Microsoft, and AWS, Microsoft, and Google, the three big ones, will give you a standout step above. I think they're really, really important. Now, if you're looking for something quite niche, like a security course, and you're looking for a grant, there's a Women in Cybersecurity, for example. If you're looking for any connection to those, there are free courses on security that you can do. And I would particularly focus those as opposed to doing the broad courses. So look at your niche area. Talk to the lecturer in the university you're hoping to go to and ask them, what are they looking for? So for example, in my courses, I have people applying to my course, and I will look, have they got a broad range? Have they got something in software as well as something in networking? Because if they've just gone completely in software, they're not going to do well with me. Likewise, if they've done completely cloud, they're not going to have enough. So talk to the lecturer in the university and they'll help you pick out the free courses that are most relevant to highlight your skills.
Thank you, ma'am. Dear participants, if you have any questions, then unmute your microphone and please question to our honorable speaker. If you have any questions, please just unmute your microphone. This is a great opportunity. So please unmute your microphone and feel free.
Wow. We wait for a question. I'm going to quickly grab that link and put it into the chat window for you in case anybody wants to use it. So that's the link to the GitHub pack. It's the student developer pack. And all it does is it points you to free resources to tools and free resources to courses so that you can do those quick free courses and show, hey, I've also done this in addition to my own course. They usually quite quick. They're maybe an hour or 2 hour course. And if you don't have a good computer, they also allow you to test out some of those tools in the browser. So it's a nice little extra. I recommend it to my students, and I'm recommending it to you as well. What eligibility criteria are required for documents applying for a travel grant? It depends on the type of travel grant. So I'm going to give you an example from another organization, which is the Association for Computing and Machinery. I'm giving you that example because I worked with them for quite some time. The criteria for travel grants with them were simply, where were you traveling from? So if you were traveling from Bangladesh to the US, the cost was going to be great. But if you were going to travel to a nearer country, they would say, that seems like a reasonable cost to go to that international conference nearby. Google don't have that restriction on their travel grants, but again, they do want to make sure that you are an active student who is participating in their community. So they're looking for the motivational statement as to, why do I really need to do this? Well, the need might be, I don't have access to the practical element, or I have never seen another woman who's in my particular field, and I'd love to meet this one person that I know is going there. So the eligibility criteria are more about motivational and perhaps showing that you're using the money reasonably. So picking something a little bit closer. Okay.
I have a question regarding your presentation. Your very nice presentation, by the way. You have mentioned that if we want to study in Ireland or UK, we must have a master's. Is it okay? If I'm not understanding correctly.
No, you don't have to have a master's.
Okay. So in that case, is there an opportunity I can get only a scholarship for masters in UK and Ireland?
You can study for a degree using the various visas. However, it will cost you more and is typically not taken up by our international students. The vast majority of our students come for a 1-year master's because that allows them to pay the same amount of money and obtain a full qualification versus a 5-year PhD, where they'll need to pay for their accommodation and everything else for those 5 years. You typically want to train quickly and convert that qualification so you can turn it into a paid job. This 2-year stay back visa gives you that opportunity. That's why I mentioned the master's as a good example. Certainly not the only one.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So you mean we should apply for the PhD from Bangladesh for better opportunities?
The PhD is very good, and the master's allow you to convert quickly. Even if you do a year-long master's, you can then follow it with a PhD. But if you want to apply directly for a PhD, you want to make sure that you're applying for a grant that will cover all 5 years. Let me see. I'll just write this in.
Okay, no problem.
There are various groups such as the Irish Research Council. I can't remember if they do internationals, but they will list out the samples of doctorate and postdoctorate researchers that are advertising for people, and they will always come with a stipend. They will always come with some money towards the cost of your living as well as the cost of the course itself. But the money towards the cost of the living does not cover your bills. It's only a help towards it, and you should be aware of that.
Thank you so much. I have just one more asking, is that what are the opportunities after the graduation or after PhD or masters to stay in Ireland, or is it a good option to select as a permanent residence in Ireland or UK? What do you think about that for international students, especially for Bangladesh?
What are the opportunities to stay after you've done your master's or doctorate? And then what was the second half of the question you had asked me? Sorry, Abdallah.
Yeah, after masters or PhD, whatever it is, I just want to know what is the opportunities for permanent residency in US, UK and Ireland.
Okay, so I've just finished a student who was doing his master's, and he came over from Syria, and he went straight on to do a doctorate in another university, and then he's going on to do a postdoc in another university. So the pathway into education, you can follow that pathway so you can become a lecturer. You don't have to do a postdoc to become a lecturer, but it's just one of the pathways. Or you can go straight into industry. So once you're in the college, once you have done your study, you can continue your visas after that. If you can get employment directly, then you change your visa type and it's very straightforward. But if you want to just do course after course after course, you have to renew your visas. So opportunities are definitely there. It's just which specific visa you apply for and when you apply for the renewal of the visa.
Thank you so much. I got my answer, and I'm really grateful for that, to be honest. Thank you.
I will say that, for example, in our university, in the Atlantic Technological University, we have an international office. Most universities have something similar to this. So if you email them directly, even though you haven't applied for the university yet, they'll talk you through the process and the opportunities and say what you can and cannot do. And it'll give you an idea of where you can go depending on what your preferred career path is. So it might be slightly different with regard to visas in England versus in Ireland, but at least you know the path. So I would ring the international office in a particular university in England, one in Scotland, one in Wales, one in Ireland, wherever it may be, and then you have the information to make your decisions.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If my CG is low, how can I recover my lackings to get a scholarship in Ireland for higher studies? CG, I assume, is your grade point average. Is that correct? And Mona, can you help me with that? I'm sorry, what is a CG?
It's a CGPA.
Ma'am, it's
The grade.
calculated GPA, I mean
Yeah, GPA.
graded.
Okay. So if your GPA is low, how can you recover your lackings to get a scholarship in Ireland? Like I said, some of them base it heavily on your motivational statement. So your motivational statement, why is Ireland different to everywhere else? And why is this university different to everywhere else? So how do you recover your lackings? Yeah, doing those certificates is one thing. Volunteering with your coding clubs to help your junior children get into STEM, that's another way of doing it. The map to the university you're trying to apply to. That's really most important of all. Why this university? Why study under that lecturer? What do they have that you don't otherwise have in your own university? If you could show that tight tie, then again, we know that you have done your research, you've put the effort in, and you're clear that you do want to stay here and that you have a specific skill that you're trying to reach up to. So do that motivational mapping very, very clearly. I think just sticking it into ChatGPT to write that motivational statement will not be enough. I think you need to look at your own personal circumstances as to why it's a bit different for you. So, for example, you might be the first person in your family to go to university, as I was, or you might be, you might come from a poor background and you decided that the way out of it was to go into engineering, and you could see a solution for something that was happening in your town, your village, and that's something you wanted to work on. That strong statement that is unique to you will help you get past that. We're looking for people, not grades, not specifically. The grades are part of it, but it's the person at the end that's going to make the difference in selecting that scholarship. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Now, I'm requesting both of our advisors to present token of gratitude for our honorable guest. Please, ma'am, both of our advisors, please come forward and present the token of gratitude for our guest.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. It was a very nice session. I was listening, and I hope that our students get benefited and got the useful information for the higher study, and the information that you provided. It will be helpful for their future career. Thank you so much. And we are very happy to get you within us. And thank you for your very time.
Welcome.
Also, I would like to welcome you to visit Bangladesh. Once you have the opportunity or once you have the time, please visit us.
Absolutely will. Be delighted.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, Ruth G. Lennon. And we really like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to you. And your efforts and your time really means a lot. And I think our students will really will be helpful. And thank you thanks again for sharing the all the details information about the opportunities and the really grateful information about great information about opportunities for our Bangladeshi students in Ireland and UK. And please accept the note of appreciation and also accept our thanks. And we are really grateful to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much to both of you. And I look forward to seeing or hearing from your students and yourself at some point in the future. I'd be delighted to help any of you in any way.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Please stay with us for a few minutes more. Now we are stepping in our another session, and that is quiz session, and that will be conducted by my fellow mate Nabila Ritu. Please, I'm requesting Nabila Ritu to come forward and conduct that session.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Nabila.
Okay, I'm Nabila Rahmanito, chair of IEEE Just Week. Now we will be conducting a quiz based on the entire online session. So thank you so much, Anmona, for your wonderful session. Now it's time for something a little more fun and interactive. Fahim, can you hear me?
Yes, I have provided the link on the chat box.
Okay, now, hello. Okay, everyone, please get ready for the quiz section. This quiz is based on the entire session we just had. So it's a chance to see how much we have picked up and, of course, to enjoy a little friendly competition. I'm sure that you are excited as I'm now. So prior to the quiz, let's go through the rules. Okay. You will find the quiz on Slido. Please check on the comment section. There will be 10 questions, each with 4 options, and you will have 15 seconds to answer each question. Remember, it's just not about being correct. It's about being quick too. The faster you answer, the more points you get. Okay, and at the end, the leaderboard will show the topper scorer. So let's see who takes the crown today. Okay. There are only 5 minutes left to the quiz section begins. We will wait for all to join. And the link also. Uh, we will wait for last 1 minute and then start. I think we are good to go. Fahim, let's begin. So the first question on your screen. Number of the international students in Ireland is. The correct answer is B. So Anindita is leading on the leaderboard. Second question is on your screen. Which of the following scholarship are available for Bangladeshi students to study in Ireland? So the correct answer is two correct answers. Now Nishad is leading on the leaderboard. Which factor must be carefully considered before applying for a scholarship? Okay. That is now also leading on the leaderboard. There is the fourth question. Which of the following is not an opportunity provided by IEEE UK and Ireland WIE? Okay, answer is D. Next. What is the primary purpose of IEEE in engineering WIE? Travel grants. Which of the following training courses are available for free to IEEE members? Now Talha Hassan is leading on the leaderboard. He is in the first position. Which of the following is not a challenge for students and professionals in Ireland and the UK? This is the seventh question. Okay. Sorry, now leading ABC. This is the eighth question. Which of the following is a restriction for a student on UK student visa? ABC is also leading now. And this is the ninth question. Which of the following is the primary goal of IEEE WIE? Okay, maximum set 3. Now Musabbir is in the first position. What is the expertise field of the speaker? Answer is B, cloud. So this is the answer. Okay, this is the leaderboard. So Suchona is in the first position and Anindita is the second position and Musabbir is in the third position. Congratulations, Suchona. Okay, now I over to host Anmona Khan.
Thank you, Nabila.
Thanks all for participating.
Thank you, Nabila, for that quiz session. Ruth Lennon, ma'am, that was a hotly contest. Oh, thank you, ma'am. However, we are really at the end of our session. I am requesting Ruth Lennon, ma'am, to take a picture with us, if you allow us to take a picture. And, ma'am, we took a picture with you? Okay, thank you, ma'am. Everyone, if you have no issue, just please open your on your the camera and we will get a screenshot. Okay, please, everyone.
Well done to whoever wrote that quiz. That was fast. That was really good.
Everyone, please. Fahima Dina, mute your microphone, just camera. Everyone, please. If there is no issue, please on
Yeah.
your camera.
And none of the picture is taken. I think we can close it.
Okay.
Thank you, Ruth Lennon. I was the person who contacted with you earlier. Thank you accepting my invitation. And I'm really happy to conclude this program today here. And I hope we can make collaborating program later also with your university or any other person from your recommendation. Also, I hope our students in your expertise field can reach you, and I hope they can tell that they meet you in this webinar, and I hope you'll respond to them, and we can help them with them for their higher studies in Ireland or UK.
Absolutely. Be delighted.
Thank you. And from us, it's good night. And I know for you, it's a good afternoon. By the way.
Thank
Okay.
you, ma'am.
Thank you all. Thank you.